important song, Where the Beef Begins. This is Patient Zero.
Yeah.
And it's a song called First Person Shooter, which we later found out Kendrick Lamar was asked to be on this song.
Right.
And he says so as much on Euphoria, I believe.
Yep. Yep.
Um and First Person Shooter is a song where J. Cole just goes fucking crazy. And they're talking about the
Yeah.
big three. They're doing all this stuff, and we know what the big three means, but it's like the big three's not on the song. It's only Drake and Cole.
Right. And when Cole says it, it's like, then why isn't he here?
Yeah.
That's strange. And then now we're starting now this stuff has happened over the summer, is like, oh, that's why he wasn't on there. There's been something brewing, and we've more or less touched on, like, there's been these two stars that have, had their little, snipes at each other or whatever else, but they've never crossed each other in an official way. And it's starting here because of, like, why wasn't he on there? And it's like, in a way, he's like, I'm if you're Kendrick, you've been, like, saying for the last half decade plus, I'm smoking on your top 5 rappers, right? And, like, he'll drop an album, he'll drop a classic, leave, and then hop on one of them top dog niggas shits, and fucking murder it, and then go away again for another year.
Mm-hmm.
so like, it's like, wait a second, is he, how does he actually feel about this rap thing? Does he really care in that way, or is he, like, just saying away so he doesn't, like, ruin relationships, or what is this? And we'll probably never get an answer to this stuff, but, like, it leaves a lot to wonder with him as far as that, because, like, he does this. I'm sorry, he's not on this record, and it's his absence speaks volumes, obviously. And it's a great record because J. Cole. I mean, is that still the best verse of the year?
Came out last year, but for sure, yeah.
Oh yeah, last year.
But, like, in this whole time, it's like, all right, like, for me, I think Cole kind of grabs the crown at this point, kind of as the best guy due to Drake's output and then Kendrick's inactivity, kind of.
Right. Because he's the best of both worlds as far as availability and talent.
Yeah.
Or availability and production. Yeah. Yeah.
And, he kind of, rolls out this project, like, kind of like after a thing is in the works called Might Delete Later, and there's various snippets emerging, a documentary and all that. In the middle of that, March 22nd of this year, Like That drops on one of those future Metro Boomin albums. And this has a verse from Kendrick Lamar where he's like, he basically takes aim at the concept of the big three, says it doesn't exist, it's just Big Him. We've covered it on One Nation Radio before.
Yep.
And Kendrick is basically announcing, like, I want to smoke. And this is the response to First Person Shooter, seemingly.
Yes. And I mean, not seemingly, definitely, because the big three thing is there.
Yeah.
And also, it should be noted, like, this song is, like, this Future in Metro Boomin song. We find out, like, oh, Future and Metro don't fuck with Drake no more.
Yep.
After, storied, their careers are linked together inextricably. So yeah, that's all this stuff, and it's like, wait, what's going on? All of a sudden, like, three of the biggest people in the industry don't fuck with Drake after we've had, almost like radio silence on beef amongst, like, hip hop heavyweights, or even like just featured acts, or marquee acts in rap over the last decade. That's weird. What's going on?
We're also getting a collapse of a lot of the departments at the record labels, like, as far as, like, different jobs going away, and then
A&R's staff downsizing.
Yeah. Right. Everything's getting kind of consolidated, and, like, people are going independent. People are doing a lot of stuff to essentially find out how they're going to keep, the lights on, like, with the music stuff. And in Like That, Kendrick flat out rejects the concept of his peers and saying they're not on my level. I want it. What's up? From there, J. Cole responds about 2 weeks later with a song called 7 Minute Drill, which is...
Before we get to that, is it fair to say that, like, the Like That verse is basically Control all over again?
I'll say this. You could say that, but I'll say there's an old Jay-Z line. It's funny how one verse can fuck up the game. And that's what this was.
That's, like, what both of those did, though.
Yeah, like, but
yeah.
I feel like this one was a way there was no running from this one.
Yeah,
because there's almost so many people that were mentioned last time. There was almost plausible deniability. You know, there's people that weren't mentioned responding to that shit. So it was like,
Mm-hmm.
you really want to get lost in that? No. And Like That is burning up Twitter. It's burning up everything. It's becoming like the number one song in the country.
Is it? Yeah. Yeah.
People are eating this up because public perception has swung on Drake when it's like, everyone's like, you know what? Get him, Kendrick. That's what I think a lot of this is. And then Future and Metro Boomin is like, hey, we reckon it in, you know?
Yep. While we make our 2 double albums that like just came and went.
Yeah.
Just for clarification, like when we talk about, like, we're talking about number one song in rap, because obviously during this time, like, we have Taylor Swift drop, Beyonce drop, but even while they have dropped and their stuff has came down from the top of the charts, Like That's still there to this day. So like it's weathered 2 icebergs that hit this particular Titanic, and it's still there. And obviously this beef has sparked it back to make it still stay there even more. So like we'll see whenever it goes down. But like, I mean, it's basically rap song of the summer at worst by this point, unless, you know.
Well,
unless, you know, one of these disc records ends up being it, which I can't imagine if that plays on the radio. Oh my god. Yeah.
Hey man. From there, J. Cole responds because he is mentioned in this thing, but comes out with this kind of half-hearted, not really like. It didn't seem like it was like the concept 7-minute drill. Like it was like, oh, I thought we was about to hear some shit, but we just saw. It was like, all right, I guess it's a round one, I guess, but
it's very tame even for opening round. Very tame.
Yeah, and it's like his energy's all off on the song. Like, it's like there's something not right. Let's just say that. No later than like
2 days later.
2 days later, he's at Dreamville Fest, and he basically throws his hands up, says, you know, this don't feel right in my spirit and all this, and immediately I get the feeling, and I think I come on One Nation Radio after this, and I'm like,
immediately he disappoints Richard Lott as much as any rapper ever has, maybe.
Yes, this is one, and I'm still disappointed by this, right? Like, to the point where, like, I understand what the deal was and why he got out the way, because allegedly Schoolboy Q was like, hey, get out the way, and he was tipped off. And I said on One Nation Radio, my suspicion was some type of call was made. It was like, we don't want J. Cole. This was designed to bring that nigga outside.
Right.
And then Cole was like,
he still has a plausible deniability of saying he talked about 2 people, not just one.
Yeah. And then I think Cole looks around and is like, all right, I guess I can up the ante and basically publicly apologize. That'll remove me and say I'll take the lick too. And then he'll take the beating on his reputation, and he's gonna wear that still.
And to be fair, shout out to J. Cole, because he was not told this, but the apology should be as loud as the disrespect. And he absolutely fell on the sword. He absolutely did.
Yep. So from there, it's like he even removed 7-minute drill from streaming. He's really sorry about this. And from there,
that's okay. I got my copy in it on the hard drive, so he ain't going nowhere, brother.
We got that.
I don't need a DSP. I got it.
So from there, like, you know, things kind of just go kind of cold for a little bit, because obviously, like, that has happened. Drake is, like, you know, still kind of out there, been silent on all this. And then we start getting the weirdest shit that has ever happened in rap beef, strictly due to technology. We start hearing niggas make AI disses that are fake songs of these guys dissing each other.
Because people are so thirsty for this beef, like Rich, we talked about over the month or whatever. It's about like, hey man, people are thirsty and dying, and they want people fight verbally, and
they was tricking folks.
There's a space for it, and people are ready to click on anything. They just want to feel that feeling. They want a good shot of dope, and they wanted some of that rhyming wrestling.
They were using TikTok for this, because you know how the algorithm's set up is just gonna push it to you. You know, Twitter and all this stuff, and it was just like, this. I don't like this, because it's hard to, you know, tell the fake from the real sometimes. But there was one immediately, like, I was really disappointed by that Kendrick Lamar one that one guy dropped. Like, I think he's a sucker. I think he's, in the middle of like this very important thing. You put this thing out where it's like, it could really fuck up a lot of things, and then I could immediately hear, I'm like, there's a lot that AI can do, but imitate Kendrick Lamar is not one of them. Like, and then, the Drake stuff I was hearing, we hear the song Push Ups, and the first time I hear it, it's the old copy of Push Ups. It leaks, doesn't like necessarily come out via Drake. And I was like, before I jumped on Twitter, I was like, is this AI? Like, and I was just like, it was badly like mixed. It was like the drums on it don't like hit right. I was like, what the fuck is going on here? Then a new version comes out later in the day.
And to me, it seemed like when I listened to it, it's Ace Vane on Instagram.
Yeah.
It sounded like Ace Vane got a filter.
Mm-hmm.
Ace Vane's a witty, good rapper, quality rapper. But this sounded like somebody made a Drake song or whatever, as opposed to it's a Drake song that's a diss record. And yeah, so new beat comes in and takes out that Get Money sample, puts in what ends up being the beat, and it's just like, okay, so we already heard it. It to me, it loses steam by being this thing that was floated out. But it was
almost like, are they doing like test runs? Like, is this a new kind of thing? Like,
right. It felt like people were like sending demos out to like, the narrative crafters that are, in the game, like the Joe Buttons, the Axe, the, Charlemagne's, whoever else you want to name that are a part of this now. We're like, there is a absolute insider aspect to the coverage of rap music now. And I feel like it's more popular, even like the insider aspect of like pro wrestling at this point. Like, because you got Dave Meltzer, you got Sean Ross Sapp or whatever else, you got others that know people or whatever connected, but like they're not the absolute go-tos for your news and your coverage of rap music on a weekly or daily basis. In rap, these guys are now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's an underrated aspect of all this. It's like, I can't count how many times I found myself going to Academic's stream after this just to see what his reaction was. And it's like, it's Academics. It's like, he's a lame ass nigga, but it's like at the same time, he's in that position.
It's totally biased.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
So from there, like Push Ups comes out. I think Push Ups is dope. I'm like, oh, he's rapping on this shit. Like I like the beat. I like the pianos. I like the concept. Like the
and he's giving shots to everybody that's now in this fuck Drake clique.
Yep.
And like he's shooting first. Honestly. So yeah.
So like I hear this, but I'm like, yeah, all right, cool. Let's get it. Like, I was like, oh, this is like, this is like an 8 out of 10 or whatever, 7.5 out of 10, 8 out of 10, something like that. And I was like, but he really wants to do it with Kendrick Lamar. Mm-hmm. Well, all right, let's see how it goes. He sets up for the second half of the song, the Drop and Give Me 50 part. Yep. I think the song goes over really well. I think a lot of the Drake fans get really confident, high on their own supply.
Because they're front runners, of course. And Drake is also a front runner, of course. So, I don't recall him in the last 5 years like being around Cali, Kentucky, in Lexington. I don't recall, but whatever. We'll move on. So, yeah, like, at the end you hear like they break out into a Take Heat beat for like a bar, and he's like, I was really trying to really trying to keep PG. And like, what's that? Okay, all right, I'll keep that in the back of my mind, and we'll come back to in a minute. But like, that's a warning shot. That's a warning shot. Right. That I got more, and then we have to wait. We have to wait because we're like, all right, where's Kendrick in all of this?
Detour. Rick Ross responds immediately.
That's true.
Same day in the studio. Song playing in the background. He's on IG laughing at him, calling him white boy.
Yes.
We've talked about this on the show before. Basically exposing like the fallout of Drake and Ross through all this. And everything that happens with French Montana that's connected with Drake not clearing a verse.
Well, let's get into that now. He doesn't clear the verse because allegedly the lyrics on there is him alluding to having some type of intimate relationship with Kim Kardashian, and it's at a time where he's already came out in public and said nothing ever happened, but he had that in his back pocket after the years of the stuff going back to him and Kanye, back when he was teasing about, on sicko mode, how he lives up the street from her, turn off the lights, make that, make a sacrifice and all kind of stuff, and it's nasty business by this guy, and there's a pattern of this with him where he's making nasty business of him fucking people's women or significant others, better way to say it. But these dudes think of them as their women. They see them as that. That's how these dudes think.
Ross then goes to town on Drake, basically coming up with the BBL Drizzy name, which has taken on a whole life of its own. Talks about Drake's surgeries. Talks about the way he was dressing, the white boy thing. Talks about the pastrami posse. Talks about a lot of stuff.
We have to talk about pastrami posse and Rick Ross and anti-Semitism at some point. Do you want to do it now or later?
Look.
I mean, is Ross gonna come back up to talk about it or not? Because I don't think he is.
I don't know if Ross Ross just pops up between each round, essentially laughing.
Yeah, right. So Ross, has a line calls OVO the pastrami posse, and then I immediately heard that line. I was like, hold on, bro. Is he being anti-Semitic right there? Because obviously, if this was any other rapper, he would not be calling their clique the pastrami posse. He's talking about that in relationship to Jewish people in pastrami, right? So then let's fast forward to the Rick Ross stuff. Ross on Twitter the other day, and he's talking, and this after Meet the Grams, and he's talking about Drake and being in his history as a groomer or whatever else, and talking about predators and everything and pedophiles, and then he gives off a list of famous pedophiles. And he mentions the last names Epstein, Weinstein, and Schindler. And there's a certain commonality between them three last names that, also when you throw in that you saying pastrami posse a week ago, makes people be like, oh, I see what you're doing here, and he's gonna slide on it because in where he's at in his space, they don't hit people over the head about anti-Semitism, but this one Irish radio, we like, hey man, this is troubling. You should be saying this shit.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to put that out that when I went back a couple weeks ago, we talked about Strawberry Spice, and I brought it up to everybody. I was saying that in joke, and I said he's gonna slide on it. Then he puts out that tweet. Like I said, he's gonna slide on it, and I'm waiting for him to start rapping or start doing features with Kanye again.
Man.
Now it's point to talk about how Kanye hopped on to Like That remix.
Not yet.
His own remix.
Not yet.
Okay.
So up next, as I mentioned, Drake is puffing his chest out. There's been no response from Kendrick Lamar. People are acting like Kendrick Lamar was just went home or something. They're just going crazy, begging for him to respond. He's on the clock, left and right. Drake hits him again with something called the tailor-made freestyle. Sounds like a Dr. Dre beat, but what Drake does is use an AI filter of Tupac and Snoop Dogg's voices on this. Like he was giving advice to Kendrick Lamar, basically begging him to come outside, and then he's on the third verse as himself. This was very divisive, and to me, this is the first mistake that Drake has made in this battle, because AI itself is very divisive. The use of Tupac is very, people don't play about that shit. And then just AI and music and art itself, people fundamentally reject it. So it's you're already climbing up a hill by using AI in the first place. Parts of this were creative. I think a lot of the raps on there, I think if he would have rapped as himself the whole time, I think this goes over totally different. It's much more creative that way and is fairly effective, but I wouldn't call this a straight diss song, kind of like I would Push-Ups. This is more like, okay, let's this is something else I got.
This is puffing out his chest, saying either you need to hurry up because I got something on the way, and I think I'm going to beat you, so I need to try to get you out of your what do you call it, your cover hole, right? And while doing it, he's being like he's front running. He's flat out front running. He's puffing out his chest and saying like, I got this dude shook. I know you ain't gonna let down the West Coast, right? And as far as the AI thing, like it's another pattern of him, of Drake. Like it's like, bro, it's hypocritical. Like that that Weeknd and Drake AI song that first people heard, like they immediately got taken down by the companies. Like that was a big deal, and now he's the number one guy in the industry in this genre, and he's using it, and it's like, this is nasty. Like
this could set a bad tone.
And this goes in line with like the, hey, don't or French, don't use that verse like that. I don't know if I want that on the, or people think even if he wants it or not, people think he doesn't want it on the radio, so people are playing these games, but with or without his approval, to play with like that being on the radio, So it's all dirty pool he's playing, and these people are already pissed off with him as an industry that have worked with him before.
So, like, this doesn't go over well. Like, this basically turns around so bad. Tupac's estate gets involved. Drake is forced to pull the song down. Immediately, that's an L. Like, I don't, like, no way around it. Like, even as creative as it may have been, it's an L.
Also, like, he wrote all 3 verses, and the best verse is Snoop's. AI Snoop has the best verse, not you yourself.
And then, like, he managed to do a Tupac thing with no enemies or Hennessy type thing. Like, you had to do that, but he didn't. Like, it was just, it was like he was rapping like Drake the whole time. Like, so right. I don't know. If you're gonna commit to the bit, fucking do it. So then Mr. Nazi himself tries to come in. It's just fiending to get tagged in. Like, that man's acting like the Undertaker, stomping on the thing for the hot tag.
Meme, yeah.
But nobody tags him in.
Attention! Pay attention to me! You haven't paid attention to me in years. I want attention. This is the most important. This is the biggest, most talked about thing in rap in years, and it doesn't involve me. So I'm going to interject myself into it because I'm an egomaniac.
Nobody gave a fuck.
No one cared.
No one cared.
Cool choirs, Nazi. Cool choirs.
Yeah, and then we're on to Cincinnati after that. So 11 days passed between the tailor-made freestyle and what became, on April 30th, last Tuesday, one of the great weeks in hip-hop history, kicked off with Euphoria, which the first time I heard this, James, I was jumping up and down in my kitchen with the headphones on, just hearing how the beat came in with, like, just knowing the way he set it up, real calm on the sample portion, and then jumps into what I think is the hardest beat of the battle so far when Euphoria drops, and I'm like, oh, we have arrived. And during this whole time, people have it's been a week, Kendrick. It's been so long. People are saying we're not gonna care when Kendrick Lamar drops. Like, I thought this was lunacy. I thought this was ridiculous.
And that's part of this narrative game from the people that are covering this, right? Especially pushed by academics, the head mouthpiece for the OVO PR. Like, they were pushing this. It's been X number of days. It's been 29 days, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, I'm sorry. Were we on a shot clock here?
Right.
And I talked about this last week on the show. Like, I believe it was last week. It was like, who cares? And sure enough, a day later, Kendrick like, yeah, James is right. James right. So as you mentioned, the drop of that beat, like, it reminded me so much of N95 that, like,
you know what it really reminded me of? It felt like an even more beefed up version of Young Jeezy Put On.
Okay. So the horns, yeah. I just remember first the energy as far as like, okay, this sounds familiar or something. It reminded me, it hurt me back of like first time I heard N95, I was like, what the fuck? I went to the sound, I went to the credits to find out who produced it. I'm assuming it was Boy Wonder again, right? And it wasn't. Cardo. It was Cardo and Johnny Giuliano, which is crazy because, like, I used to listen to Johnny Giuliano's like website when he was like leasing beats out like a decade ago, right? Yeah. Oh, we both were, yeah. Him and Vibe, Johnny Giuliano and Vibe were both like, them dudes were incredible. He leasing out these beats, and you're like, I'm trying to figure out how do I do that, and that's sort of another time. But it's like, it's cool that this dude now has a placement on one of the greatest disc records of all time. It's cool.
Like, Euphoria comes out, it's so layered, and for me, I was kind of confused by people saying they were confused by it. I was like, I don't know. It's just because I'm tapped in to rap. I kind of know what all this stuff means. Been following it. Like for me, it's very straightforward.
Okay,
A
so
lot
for
of
me, as a
hate.
person, it's not. So for me, if it's a person that's not into, it's not into like the listening to the Button podcast or the Act stuff or Drink Champs, all that any of that kind of stuff. That's not following that content on a consistent basis, only for checking in for certain things that I want to see, or if I see a YouTube clip or whatever else, I'll click on it. Like I did not know that like so many people like the whole V12 is a fast one. Like I mean I got that line or I got the line before that, but like the V12 and the V12 was like, oh, that's actually like that's that's the instrument they use to like the lipo people now for BBLs or for what do you call it, ab sculpting. I had no idea, but like but it was good enough for me because like on the first line he's talking about like you got a stomach that I'll tell you fans we get your abs done. It's like okay, I already know that story, but like as you mentioned, like it's one of them songs where like it's great the first time you hear it, and as you go through a second or third pass of it, it's even better because it's Kendrick. He's great,
And then
and like he plays the game of like and then you find out about the Crody thing, where, like he's calling him a pussy because like he's talking about this, Drake has a cat named Crody.
Yep. And then like in this, Kendrick basically puts out a core tenet of how he's gonna win this rap battle. He's otherizes Drake from not only
he has no morals, he doesn't stand for integrity, respect, discipline, none of that.
He otherizes him from black culture, where he was like, he makes that man a Canadian. He was like, we don't want to hear you say nigga no more. And it's like he basically doesn't frame it as this. It's not a moral thing. He said it's just fucking weird. Like I just hate when you say it. Like, but he otherizes him to the point to where it's like you are an interloper. You are a visitor. Like even though you are
missing his point at this point at the beginning. But I feel as it goes further, he further articulates his point as far as saying like it's not a black white mixed thing. It's a you are not from here and you have basically cosplayed, especially over the last 5 years, this culture that like you or parts of this culture that like not only are you not from, like you don't necessarily even know that well. Like I remember back in the day, like, but it was closer to Cash Money days, before he moved off to OVO as a separate entity thing. You would see Drake in like those, in like these RIP shirts of like people that like passed or were part of Cash Money, in the like 99s and 2000s. Like, why is he wearing that shirt?
Mm-hmm.
He never met any of these people. He's just wearing the shirt off the strength. I mean, that's kind of cool, but it's like, that's interesting. You would see stuff like that from time to time with him, and obviously, you throw in the blackface thing that went along with that, and it's playing, it is ongoing. Like there's these concerning patterns over and over with Drake, and like Kendrick has basically like cobbled it all together into a very compelling piece of narrative over the last week. Very compelling.
And a lot of the response to this was like, what did Kendrick tell us that we didn't know about him, and all this? And to me, that was cope. Like that was like Kendrick basically taking the blueprint from Pusha T and making it better and making
it up, yes,
and basically being like, yo, even if Pusha T couldn't have like landed the stuff, I can, because I'm in the position where we are equals essentially.
Yeah, like the reason why Drake was allowed to, or not allowed, but like flat out survive getting his ass kicked in the way he did by Pusha T, because so many people dismiss his or Pusha T's status in this game and what he's done. And also, and just frankly, he's not on the level of Drake, so people weren't going to respect. Like, if the top guy, it's a lot like, oh, Hulk Hogan just lost to Billy Kidman. Okay, he's going to be Hulk Hogan tomorrow because no one believes it, right? When it's Kendrick Lamar, it means so much more because these are two people that are at the top. So yeah. You're absolutely right.
So like last Tuesday, like Euphoria busts social media open to the point where it's like everyone's scrambling at this point because like in a way that they weren't for push-ups. Like I feel like this was like a clear, like this was a devastating song. This was like ether in a way. And it was like, I thought like it was so dope with like the flows, the basically, calling to the carpet about fatherhood, calling them to the carpet just about so many things. It's 6 minutes long, so you guys have to listen to it for yourself. But it is it was like, oh man, for a long time, I wondered, it was like, yo, what would Kendrick Lamar be like in this situation? Because I always just wanted to see it. I was like, why is everybody afraid of him? And I feel like, there's no reason to really be afraid of any rapper except the game. But but I may have to reconsider, like, knowing what Kendrick Lamar is now capable of. I think this really shook Drake. And he's alluding to having information on this. He's laying traps in this thing.
Like let's play like have you ever played have you ever? And then he goes, that's the first tease of his warning. Like, I got info on you, brother, and do you want to go that route? And like they're both playing that game with because obviously you can't just go with it, pull out your biggest guns at the beginning. You got to, this is a thing where it's going back and forth, and then as it goes, you start, with the getting into the actual fight. You got to fill each other out in that way, as far as like, got to see, like, check the distance of the punches, that sort of thing in the fight. Yeah.
So we go through the rest of the week. Pretty much everyone's playing Euphoria on loop, like breaking down the songs. Like, all the memes are going crazy. Ironically, what Drake used to benefit from with all the memes and everything, from his time in the public eye, everything is flipped on him perception wise. People are doing these deep breakdowns of all Kendrick stuff, to the point where some of that shit's not accurate at all, but some of it is funny, but some of it is real too.
For him.
Right. Some of it is real too. But it's like, man, is this guy really this, like, is he this savvy to really think about all this shit? Like, and the fact is, you got to ask the question. I feel like that rattles Drake right there. From there, we get to Friday morning, and from there, we get 616 in L.A., which is like the timestamp song, but it's coming from Kendrick Lamar, and I see the title immediately, and I'm like, ooh, and I'm like, he's also still in the Drake playbook. He's going back to back on him. I'm coming out with my poking and prodding song now, and then I'm just going fucking crazy on this like Al Green sample. The last time that thing I remember was sampled was like on a Kanye West mixtape years ago. So like, he comes in, and this whole thing is just like, oh, this is different. This isn't like Euphoria. This is a straight.
I'm a better rapper than you. This is forget this is the. Like,
it's a straight warning.
I'm opening 20 bars or whatever else. Is like, I'm going to show you, like, I am a better rapper than you. Like, I am talking about the frame of mind I'm in, and like, I am not ashamed to lose. I have nothing to lose in this. You do. Like, when he's having a conversation with, he's talking to God, and then he says, like, look, man, like, I feel alive on not knowing whether I'm going to win or lose this thing. This is why he's going on this verse. It's like this abstract verse where he's talking about like rhythms and all kind of stuff, and like, and I'm just like, yo, this dude's levitating. Like, this, I don't know what kind of weed he's smoking when he came up with this one. but it must have been amazing.
Angel dust.
He's out here seeing sounds the way that he's rapping right now. He's incredible. And it was like, yo, this is the highest level of rap that I've heard, and in all of this stuff between these two in this whole collection. And it's been pretty high level anyway to begin with, because I think that, Push-Ups is a great diss record, and Euphoria is an all-time diss record. And then you get this one to start off the day, and I'm like, oh. And also he's teasing, like, he goes back to the have you ever thing. Is like, have you ever considered it, like, I know everything you're planning because you have someone inside someone inside that like hates your, or a whole bunch of people in your inner circle that hates your guts, and your crew that hates your guts, and they're giving me information. I know what you're planning. And then I think he mentioned the van too. And it's like, then then it was like, yo, there clearly has to be some type of leak information situation with him, as far with Drake's camp, for Kendrick to know all this kind of stuff. He ain't just pulling this out his ass to be like he's not he did not become a prognosticator, right? He didn't become a medium. So it's it was very like entertaining. And then he drops, if you want to talk more about it, we can talk about it.
Yeah. Like, and just more how like I was feeling about it, because I was like, yo, this is different. I was like, this is not for us. Like, this sounds like a straight warning. Like, yo, like I have something for you. It's on you.
Yep.
If you go one way, I've got something else, which is sitting back here,
Right.
and I will
Right.
use it. And
Yep.
May 3rd goes down as a legendary day in rap history.
And that was the first part of it.
Yep. And then towards like I don't know, like around
It's nighttime.
It's nighttime. It's like, I don't know, maybe like 10 at night or whatever. I don't know, 11 at night. Drake puts out a song called Family Matters. There's like a parody of his Buried Alive skit, which Drake has put out on IG, but the main thing is Family Matters is a 7-minute song. Euphoria was a 6-minute song, so it's only fair he's answering it kind of at that same length. Family Matters has 3 beats on it, starting with the original song that was from Push Ups, kind of in a longer form. From that, goes into like this drill kind of track where he starts firing back at other people. And
I'm
Kendrick.
assuming that's the Mark Ronson part of the section of the production on the production list. When I was looking it up,
And then like he the third song, which one of my favorite things of the whole thing was the third song on Family Matters. Like I thought that shit was incredible.
Awesome beat. That has to be Boy Wonder. It has to be Boy Wonder. I agree with you. And like it's an all-time diss record.
Like this song was incredible. When I was hearing this, I was like, this is hard. This is tough. I was like, it's not better than Euphoria, but this is tough. Like, I was like, I don't think he made the best song that he could make, because at this point, I'm like, Drake needs to put out the best verses he's ever done, and he almost does that, I think, with Family Matters. And like, I think he's floating on all these beats. Like, it's fun, it's swaggy, it's like, some of the stuff he's saying is like, it's like, I'm trying to explain like to Catherine, like, I know you don't like this guy, but listen to how he's just gliding on this shit. Like, and I think
he's incredible doing the drill beat, like incredible.
Yeah,
like I had to go back like 2-3 times to beat to pick up like all the shit where he's like, like, look, man, we'll get into it, but it's like, he was just flagrant with his disrespect for the Weeknd, just disrespect, like, and it's bordering on homophobia, but whatever. Whatever.
And he does it again with the Kendrick like thing. He's like, "Who is the man in the house? Where's your uncle at?" But
that is a jab, and we know what the punchline is, but he is using proper pronouns.
Yeah,
he is using proper pronouns.
Yeah. But this song is like people are going crazy. Like at this point, like the Drake folks are energized. The whole thing was like,
and the main thing is we're leaving this out.
There's a video to this.
Most people watch it as a music video because it drops on YouTube. It is released on Twitter, and it's linked to the YouTube. And it's the van, or the same make and model of the van, more specifically, from the album cover from Good Became Mad City, that is, the vehicle that Kendrick Lamar ends up getting himself into trouble with by leaving with his mama's keys, and throughout that leads out the whole story of the Good Kid, Mad City album. And so, like, you see it on a lift or on a tow truck, and it's driving through, and then all of a sudden it pans up, and like you see the CNN Towers, like, oh, they're in Toronto, and that's he's taking it to it's being taken. That van's being taken to a wreck shop, and they put it in the crusher, and they turn it into a fucking cube. It's like, oh, and he's
symbolism.
giving these lines about, he's giving these lines out about, talking about the blood stuff. And he's like, look, man, YG's real blood. I mean, hell, even he mentions that someone named Chuck T that bangs out there. I was unaware of a Chuck T that banged out there, but it definitely ain't the Chuck T that they be talking about in Tunnel Talk. I guarantee you that.
Well, it's the game.
Oh yeah, you're right. So then he also mentions Chris Brown, and is like, while he's doing these diss records where he's like, push-ups and Family Matters, is like, it's mostly focused on Kendrick Lamar, but he has so much ammo to shoot that he's aiming at all these other people that he has these issues with, that he's accumulated over the last like couple months, year, whatever you want to say. So like, it's, Rick Ross is catching more cop bars. The Weeknd is getting he said like all the songs play in places where boys got more pride, and these clothes where boys got more pride. he's trying to make he's extending all the branch out to Future, saying like, look, man, we ain't never really went through it. This is all the issue I have with Metro, and Metro is like, finally roped you into this nonsense, and and then like he's just killing it. He's killing it all throughout, and then he gets to the last part, the boy Wonder Beat, and man, like he gets back to Kendrick, and he drops the revelation or bombshell that's supposed to be the part of it that you're supposed to really grab you. Is like he's saying, hey, Kendrick has been beating his wife,
and also he might have like his manager may be his child's baby dad, or he may
at the beginning with the Dave Freeze line, he's saying his manager Dave Freeze might be the father of Kendrick's kid or whatever else, and then like he gets back to that and says like, you mean your wife, and that's probably the reason why you proposed her in 2015, but you haven't been married, you live in New York now, like are you living that bachelor life in New York?
Like, we know the girls you like. There's a lot of inferring like these things, and these are like smart things. Like being someone that's like made diss records is like sometimes like you can use the space between truth and lies to cause doubt. It's like, and I think Drake did that a lot with this. Like we know the girls you like. Like there's no way to verify that, but it's just saying that makes you be like, well, what kind of girls does he like? Or whatever, like even like if it's like, yeah, he's married, it's like, what kind of girls how does Drake know or whatever? Has he seen him somewhere before or something like that? So like there are a lot of things like that. There was a mistake that he made in this song though, and this was like some of the stuff that started like verifying the stuff, like Kendrick otherizing him, saying you're not
media literacy now.
You're not of the culture. No. Like when he was always rapping like he about to get the slaves freed, and I was like,
yep,
that's not what you want to say in response to your blackness. And he starts the song with his mom, and he's starting the song with nigga, man. Like he starts like with saying like nigga, and then it's like, I just wouldn't.
Like you having your white mom throw you the alley for you to say nigga to start the song. That's weird. It's peculiar.
Yeah. And then like the thing was, it was like, and he's had these weird lines about slavery, like going back last year when he had a song with SZA. Gonna slime you out, like it was like something like Black American whipped and chained like Black American slaves, and it's like, why is this Canadian talking about slavery so much? It just don't sit right.
And the only other person that we've really like let rap like talk like that in like the last few 20 years has really been Kanye, and then look, Kanye turned to be a Nazi. So it's like that's odd. It's odd that you want to follow in those footsteps.
Yeah. So like, I really like the third song on this. Like like even though he was doing the sing rap and stuff, like I think it was like, like he was like in this video he's pulling out Pharrell's chains, which also kind of illuminates another thing. There's the G-Unit chain in this video, and it's almost like these hip hop artifacts are being held hostage by this man or whatever.
Because he's showing you what do you call it? Not opulence. Opulence. Like he is grotesquely rich now.
Yeah.
That like these things that have been auctioned off, he's bought them. And like all them Pharrell chains, like that started like after Pusha T punched him in the face with Adidon. Whereas like I remember asking like Kirby, like, yeah, why did he buy the Pharrell ice cream chain? It's like, oh, because he's Pusha T's Pusha T's legacy is tied to Pharrell. Like okay, I get that, but you don't feel that that's like a rich guy that's a loser doing that shit? That's loser shit. Like what does Pharrell do with that?
And then in like, throughout rap, like the cool thing is like you're giving your chain by somebody. You're giving a Rockefeller chain. The G-Unit people, you're giving the G-Unit spinner chain like to like Young Buck and stuff like this. Like why didn't Drake go through the full experience with this G-Unit chain that he got made from Johnny Dang? Like he needs to get robbed for it too. We need to have JoJo Pellegrino get him the chain back in Chicago or something like that. Like he needs, like, it's like these unearned valor stripes you didn't get or whatever, and it's just more cosplay.
Right. And then you have that weird album cover where he has like the grill and the hair with the hair clips in it. Yeah, it's a lot, like you mentioned, it's cosplay. It comes off as cosplay because like that's not who you actually are. Yeah. And we know that. because you literally tell us that you're not like that.
Yeah.
It'd be one thing if you actually were like that, and whatever. Like we know through your experience and when you talk those interviews, that's not how you are. That's not how you were raised. And then you do this, like, nah, be yourself. Like you have gotten to yourself to a stage and space to where like you feel comfortable doing these things.
Right.
And it's like and
look, and it goes to everything we set up in
rubs
his
people the
career.
wrong way.
It rubs
people the wrong way.
He was unchallenged for most of his career to act this way. So when he reaches this point, it's almost like the reverse Eddie Kingston or Bryan Danielson. It's like you've acted up for so long, you don't know how to act at all anymore.
I got one for you. It's like when you see Nunu in ATL or whatever else when she's at Cascade, when it's like, but imagine like we already knew Nunu when she was in the suburbs, and now it's like, why are you what's the switch thing? What's this switch that's going on in your mind? What's this? And this ain't just code switching. This is like flat out like your whole aesthetic has changed.
Right.
It's and it ain't just like I got money now. It's not that. It's not that.
Throughout all this whole song, he's rapping at a really high level. I imagine he's feeling good, even though there are warts in this song, which later kind of get flipped up on him.
Yeah. But at the same time, it's all time this record. At that point in time, I was like, yo, we just got us. This is an amazing day we just had. Like we just got one of the best rap diss records of all time. When you throw in the whole video, it's like it definitely has it feels more, there's more weight to it when you see the video with it for the first time. And we're all buzzing about it. Like this is I'm thinking like this is what we're going to talk. I feel like we're like before the whole rest of the weekend went crazy in overdrive. Like I'm thinking like me and Rich are going to talk for like 30 minutes on just this alone.
Yep.
On H Radio, and
no later than 30 minutes after that. I like how you brought up 30 minutes. All of a sudden, I refresh my timeline and I jump back to the group. Kendrick Lamar just responded in all caps and meet the Grams. From there, we're seeing an album cover, which is a zoomed out version of the 616 in LA cover, which was just a Maybach glove. This has like Ozempic on this thing. This has medications,
sleeping pills. Yeah,
sleeping pills.
It has receipts in like write-ups from like jewelry stores and everything. And it has allegedly like this comes from some luggage that Drake's dad was found missing a while back or recently or whatever else and like. You find the pictures like, nah, man, like the tease was like, hey, man, you know what this Maybach glove is, Drake, on this album artwork. And you know what that shirt belongs to. You know whose shirt this is. Don't play with me. And then, like, so Drake said, I'm not worried. I'm going to drop my song any damn way. And then Meet the Grams comes out, and then Kendrick proceeds to start this song, Beat by Alchemist, by the way. Start this song. The first verse is basically a letter to
Drake's
Adonis.
Mom. Or Adonis. He's like, "Dear Adonis," my jaw drops immediately, and I'm like, and you hear the haunting beat on this thing.
Right.
It's a total switch. Like you're coming off buzzing and bouncing kind of to that last song of Drake, and do you hear this? And it's like back to reality. I'm sitting you down.
Right. And he says, "Dear Adonis," and he talks about like how his father is is a deadbeat dad. It doesn't care. It has no character. It doesn't stand up for anything. And mentioned like, hey, look, man, your dad's a cosplayer, interloper. We said, like, you're going to have to learn some things of on your own. And like, hopefully when you're 18, you play this back and you hear this. And it's like, this is one of the most disrespectful things I've ever heard. And then he gets to the second verse and he says, "Dear Sandra," and he talks about. And he talks about Dear Dennis and talks about it's like, hey, y'all relationship has fucked this kid up. And this kid is now a terrible person and says, look, I believe that I hate your son. I believe he should die. He's a predator.
Weinstein.
Yeah. I hope him and Weinstein have been fucked up in prison for the rest of their lives. And it's just unbelievable. And then the third verse, he
calls him a predator.
Yeah.
Sex trafficking.
Yeah. Sex trafficker. Yeah. Man. Then third verse, he mentioned something about a girl, a little girl. What little girl? And I know and dawns on me, wait, what? And then he drops the line like, there is a second child that Drake has not been taking care of, and he's a 2-time deadbeat dad. And she's 11 years old or whatever else, and says a lot of things about like you're important, you're kind, you're smart or whatever else, and like your dad wasn't in your life, but hopefully he's trying to give inspiration to this woman, to this girl, right? So then the third verse is to Drake, and he says, "You're a piece of shit. You're terrible. You're gambling your money away. You are pill popping. You're a predator. It's just laying into, and I found it to be, what I'm listening to is like, I found this to be like the most disrespectful and
what this
cutting
reminded
thing
me
I've
of?
ever heard in my life. Like this is story Adidon beefed up for 3 verses in Nasty's part, and I'm like, this is so personal, and this is like these are things that like they're in rhyme and everything and blah blah blah. If this was somebody saying even like 4 bars of this to you face to face, you have to fight them or walk away.
Yeah. You know what this reminded me a lot of? Do you remember the J Mills Enes battle with the fuck verse?
You have to refresh my memory on that.
Okay, so I'm making the band. They had Enes basically like Diddy handpick J Mills, the Harlem Freestyle champion,
Right.
to face him. He has something called the fuck verse, where he was basically like, like fuck what everything you're about, like fuck, just fuck everything, like whatever. Like that's what this reminded me of. At the end of this rhyme, he's like, you lied about your accent and your past tense is all perjury. You lied about your ghostwriters. You lied about your crew members. They all pussy. You lied on them. I know you got they all got you in them. You lied about your son. You lied about your daughter. You lied about them other kids, hoping that you come. You lied about the only artist that can offer you some help. Fuck a rap battle. This is a lifelong battle with yourself. I heard that. I was like, ding, ding, ding. We have a winner.
Yep. I mean, by the time I had got to, by the time we got through the end of the verse about his parents, I was like, oh.
I completely, like, Family Matters completely disappeared.
No, forget Family. I was like, oh, Kendrick, this is over. This is over. And then you get the story about the second daughter. He's a 2-time deadbeat. And then the story where he talks about like, I warned you, I told you, I hate you, and I still warned you, and you are just a terrible person, and like you have made all these mistakes. You are just like a fake person. You're not real. And like by the time those fucking pianos done was over, I was like, yeah, this is over. At least for me.
And I think this is a good time because we got a lot of heavy stuff between these songs, between the wife beating allegations, the hidden child allegations. Whether this stuff is true or not,
especially when we talk live thing, and like this is like literally 20 minutes after Drake just said that like Rick Ross is jealous, is a side effect of Ozempic is jealousy, and it's like, you just shamed this dude for doing Ozempic, and on our artwork, your fucking name's on a bottle on a case of Ozempic, a box of Ozempic.
So
you hypocrite.
So he's like, the whole thing with like, all right, I felt like I was like, Drake that's a heavy thing. You probably need to like attach a police report or something that shows that this is true what you're saying about him beating his wife or whatever. Then when Kendrick comes with the deal with like the pedophile stuff, the sex trafficking allegations stuff, and then
and whatever,
and then ultimately the deal with the daughter, I feel like the daughter is separate from the rest of this stuff. I was like, if you take the daughter stuff out of this song is still potent, still effective, damn near achieves the same thing or whatever.
It absolutely does.
But when you hear the daughter line, it's like, oh, this guy has a pattern of this.
Right. Well, speaking of patterns, let's take it to this troubling pattern that is going on. And then we talked about like the difference of like when people are talking about, well, Kendrick can't, or Drake, people that are in the Drake camp or defending of Drake, whatever else, is like, well, Kendrick can't prove that Drake is a pedophile or whatever else. And it's like, and then people are talking about like all right, well, Drake can't prove that Kendrick beat his wife either. But, however, there is a concerning pattern of behavior around Drake, as you mentioned earlier, with around underage women or young women,
which like
that
kind of
for a lot of people, or for that it is absolutely like grooming, right? Like we talked about the Kylie Jenner stuff, we talked about the Millie Bobby Brown stuff, we talked about Bella Hadid. Like there have been these cases of him being around women that just turned 18, and now he has pictures of him around them, and he find out like he's known these people before then, or all this stuff. Like that is grooming behavior. So like court of public opinion, I am more likely to believe what Kendrick Lamar is saying than I am Drake, given that like there are no credible allegations against Kendrick Lamar on the things that Drake claims.
like there's nothing to rub that against.
Nor is there a pattern of behavior. There absolutely is a pattern of behavior around Drake, because we've been me, you, Rich, and Sierra. I almost called her Susan because we're fucking Twitter shit. And Tanya have been talking about Drake in this stuff for 5 years at this point, and it's been a dirty secret that's been on the internet. And a lot of this stuff, when we talk about this beef and the content at play, for a lot of people that are not on Twitter or do not follow the Insider News rap podcast, this stuff has been talked about. This stuff has been talked about, has been floated around, has been a dirt, like a dark rumor or whatever. So someone that's uninitiated to all this kind of stuff, hearing this stuff, I know their mouths on the floor, but it's like, nah, man, like maybe
there's a track record here.
Some of the stuff isn't there, but like these things have been talked about as far as Drake with young women. Absolutely. And yeah. So like it just hits harder because it's more likely to be true than not. Because there's so much smoke. There's so much smoke.
Yeah, and like from there, like Twitter immediately like packs Drake up from here. Yeah. Like this is all happening in real time, and I think this is important to remember. Preserve this for the rest of history, to like how this played out inside of this day, this Friday, where all this was going on with 616 in LA to Family Matters, and then how the reaction to it was swinging back and forth like a pendulum. And it was like, and it was when Kendrick came out with Meet the Grams, it was shocking. It was like, I can't. Yes. It was like this guy has basically invented like this new mode of attack, essentially, and completely blew away an all-time diss record with one of his own.
Yes.
On the same day that he released something else before, and then it's like, yeah, man, like Drake's really in trouble here, because Drake operated on Family Matters like that was the one, that was the victory lap.
He absolutely. Think of how he ended that verse.
Yeah,
you dead. Then talked about like, yeah, you're beating your wife. You're dead. That was the last words you heard uttered from Drake on Family Matters was "you dead." And I mean,
turns out,
yeah, it turns out that he was talking to himself.
And that was like, like Meet the Grams put him in the casket, and then like we're buzzing on this that whole night, watching the academic stream, re-listening.
I had to be up at 6:30 in the morning to work out. I had my alarm set for 10:30. Meet the Grams happens. I don't go to sleep until like 3. Because I just can't stop scrolling to see what people's reaction was to this. Because it was one of the... I've never seen... It was like I was saying this to you, Rich, and the guys, like... it felt like a playoff series where you're watching like the finals or something, and Drake has home court advantage, and like he wins the first 2 games, and then euphoria happens, and then 616 LA happens, and now it's home court advantage, and now it's going back to game 5, back in Drake's home court, and like the game 5 is literally Friday, where it's like, okay, it looks like it. You get to Family Matters. I'm sorry, you get to Family Matters. You're like, okay, well, Drake won game 5. We're about to go to game 6, and can just stave off. And all of a sudden, like the Ray Allen shot drops. The Ray Allen shot drops is like, no, the series over. You've been devastated. You've been hit with a shot to make you not now you want to get out of bed, let alone play another fucking game. We're done here. And I'm just like, I can't believe this happened. And after so much inactivity, like the way that this moved and the rate that this moved from Tuesday to Friday was staggering. It didn't forget never get to Saturday, but it was like this is all time work by Kendrick Lamar. He dropped 2 all-time disc records in the span of 4 days, and it had a third one that was also awesome.
I think a key thing to remember about Kendrick Lamar, there is no misstep in any of this except like possibly playing with bad information that you were set up with, right?
Right.
And Drake still has that tailor-made freestyle, which he's got to yank down himself because he gets himself in trouble. He's got these weird lines, like, you know, with the slavery stuff. He's got public perception turning on him in a way that it never has. The dislikes on the video, the ratios, or Kendrick is basically out streaming him and out like pacing him on YouTube videos.
He's out strategized him. He's out streamed him. He's handled the narrative better. He controlled it. Like Meet the Grams is the end. It immediately puts Drake on the defensive. Like everybody knows what everybody has to say. Now you have to explain all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And like when you're in a look, I'm not no battle rapper, but like if you're in an argument with somebody and you have to defend things where you can get back on the offensive. It hurts. That's debate 101, and that hurts. And like the way that like that just took Meet the Grams just took the absolute sales out of family, like what he thought was the kill shot. It like oh, not only am I not dead, you're the one that's dead, motherfucker. Like that was a devastating turn of events.
Like if you're Drake, you have to be. That's like demoralizing. Like if you're Drake, it's like I put out the best shit I could, kind of on like short notice, kind of, and then I thought I had it, and then he folded me like origami.
No. Forget that, Rich. You're saying it's on short notice. It wasn't on short notice. This man planned meticulously for weeks upon weeks on what that video is going to look like with that video crew and all that stuff with Pharrell's chains and him going back to that Chinese food spot that Kendrick mentioned in Euphoria and all that kind of stuff and all that. And he thought this was going to be the kill shot. Like he got all the memes, he got all the stuff, all the things to be screenshot, all that stuff that were ready to go to be the talk of the talk, to be the talk of the conversation for this whole debate and everything for the weekend. And like that immediately gets thrown in the trash, and he has to start from scratch again. And he's out of material now. He's fucked. He's done.
And then
he's done.
He's done. I felt the battle was over here at this point. I was like, it's finished. It's a wrap. Kendrick Lamar defeats Drake. Blah, blah, blah. I had 1,000 likes on that shit. I was like 5 stars. Like I had 1,000 likes on that shit. Like, and then after the funeral, it's time to celebrate.
This is the repass?
This is the repass. He's not like us. Circling back to the core tenet of Drake being otherized and basically being, you know, all the stuff playing on the pedophile stuff, and then the culture vulture stuff, which is just like how Kendrick Lamar, the whole Atlanta section of this song is just like
brilliant.
It's holding the mirror up like on everything Drake has been for the last 15 years and saying he is not like us. He's not like the listeners, the consumers. He's not like the rappers. He's an outsider. He's someone that doesn't understand whatever, and he's getting life put into him, and he's sucking on it like a vampire out of different regions, different cultures, different sounds.
Right.
Kendrick Lamar, also in this, the things that are thrown at him is replayability. Even though Kendrick is one of the most replayable like rappers there ever was, or whatever, just so you can hear what he's saying. And it's like, all right, just say you want to make love to the beats, you want to dance, you want to pop ass to the beats, essentially, like
smoke hookah. I saw that tweet a lot.
Yeah, you like, and you know, a key thing I missed on Euphoria, like Ricochet's dumbass jumps out here and was like talking about,
Yep.
you calling him gay, you're calling him light skin. I was like, bro, he wasn't calling him gay. He was calling that man an incel. Like, like he was like, I
Right.
believe you don't like women. Like in the way
Right.
he
And
operates
like
in his
it's like
music.
no. He's not saying that he doesn't like women because he's saying that he's a homosexual or he's queer. He's saying he doesn't like women because he's saying that no, he believes that he likes girls, not women.
And then taking it forward back here, DJ Mustard has pulled out of mothballs.
Oh, hold on, because Wasabi King said this. Ricochet is forever in his feelings. Yes, he is in his biracial feelings. Like, and that's the thing when you were on Twitter and you saw this. A lot of your biracial friends were like, "This is unfair how Kendrick Lamar is treating Drake. He is doing the thing that when I was a kid that I felt, and I was like, that's not actually what he's doing. It's just."
I didn't, James.
Let that hurt go.
Look, I'm black and Puerto Rican. I didn't feel none of that, James. Like I saw no need to take up for Drake.
Which we talk about this often. Like kids say mean things when they're kids, and then like the trauma that you felt, you either gotta heal or it's gonna stick with you and color you for the rest of your life. And a lot of kids that got hit with talking white or were biracial never healed.
Yeah.
And that's why they uppity to this day.
So like Ricochet jumps out there with that. Everyone gets on his head on wrestling Twitter at least. I'm like, what are you doing? Take this down. I believe I got him. You got him.
I got him. I kind of give people grace on that kind of thing, right? And I was just like, bro, I bet you think Johnny Gill sang too aggressively. I had to get him. He's like, bro, this is like, how can I call him soft without people being mad at me? I'm like, oh, I got it. I'm a black male crooner that sang rough out there. Those like, let's go ahead and give it to him. Let's go ahead and use that one.
Sheamus Nova says Ricochet heard Raw say white boy one too many times. Also, this whole thing, the certified lover boy, certified pedophiles, like there's so many hip hop quotables in this thing.
So many lines in it. Look, he a fan, he a freaky ass nigga. Look, freaky ass niggas, state ass, and keep in mind, like, the lingo when it comes to the regionalism. Like, this is flat out regionalism, right? And this is why it's at its best. This is the reason why we need to bring back segregation of the regions, right? I'm sorry, we need to bring back segregation amongst rap music, right? Like, calling somebody weird, weirdo, or freaky in California, them is fighting words out there. So when he's calling that man a freaky ass, he's not just saying, "Oh, he's a freak." Like I've been joking about the Dina Howardism lately. Of no, he is saying that dude's on the other side of normal.
Yeah,
right. Like indecency. It's man, just
Drake pictures with Karl Malone are emerging.
Drake deleted the one that was on his, but then people found like, oh, it's on Karl Malone's Twitter still.
Yep. There's like, Kendrick Lamar basically beats Drake at his own game. He's like, all right, man, you want us to, y'all want to beat, y'all gonna have fun too. All right, we'll have some fun. We will crip walk over the corpse, and we will like basically like talking about, yo, you disrespected Pac with that AI shit. What does OVO stand for? Basically, you fucked on Lil Wayne's girl. Like, you're not honorable even to the person that brought you into the game. Like, it's a West Coast anthem. It's like the Atlanta verse. Like that for me was just like, yo, like not only are we like putting the casket in the ground, we are shooting a cannon at like the fucking we're shooting a cannon at the space so it blows up after that. Like,
we lay him to rest in 6 feet deep and then we blow up the earth.
Correct. Like, and then the whole thing is just like the OV ho. It's like he made chants for this man. He calls him a colonizer. Like, and
that is the dismount on the Atlanta verse. He said like, you talking about you trying to get you made that slaves free line. All right, I got something for you. You're always in Atlanta, and Atlanta is like foundational to the slave trade and the amount of wealth that was made in this country off the backs of black people, and their pain and their suffering. And what happens when you need some culture, when you need a hit, you instantly go to Atlanta. You know the future stuff from What a Time to Be Alive, the album from a couple years ago with 21 Savage, 2 Chainz, Migos,
Lil Baby,
right? He mentioned all that stuff, and at the end of it, he says like, like you were, and then he talked about the Chainz, like you were not a colleague in Atlanta, you are a colonizer. No notes.
Classic.
5 stars.
Classic. Could be the song of the summer. Like, and it's just, from here, the social media reaction is like, this nigga Kendrick dropped again. Like Kendrick just keep coming. And this is after we declare him the winner with Meet the Grams. And it's like, oh man, like this guy is like, he's hit him from like, all right, I'm gonna give you the trap anthem banger kind of stuff like with Euphoria. I'm gonna get in the soul bag with the 616. I'm gonna get fucking haunting, like, and basically like just discussing with Alchemist, and then I'm gonna wake up DJ Mustard from a damn near 10-year coma, and then get one of his
5 years.
And like, and just get like just a completely different sounding beat, and I was like, man, this is tight. Like, and then like just flowed all over this shit, and it was just like, this was a victory lap. This was a celebration of knowing that he won. Minor. Yeah,
like, bro, when he said that shit in the first verse, it's like, bro, this is gonna be a tough night. This is gonna be a tough night for Drake when he hear this one, boy.
Yeah, it's like,
and then by the time it was Atlanta, I was like, oh, it's like, it was already over. There is no path for to 270 for Drake. He has to concede. And I guess it's not. Do you have more on this? Or do you want to get to part?
I do have more. This is Saturday night, so this song immediately starts going out over the internet, making its way to clubs in New York, Miami, Houston, LA, of course, Atlanta, and it's like you're seeing everybody just going crazy to this thing, and it almost seems like a new challenge is going to get started. It's like, how can we record people at the party going up to this song,
bro? They're dancing to Freaky Ass Nigga He Is 69 God.
Yes.
They are dancing to someone being called a pedophile and sex trafficker that hangs out with other pedophiles.
Bro, not only
it is a bop. It's a mind fuck. It's a total mind fuck.
Yeah, and back to the thing, like the heavy allegations thing. I think the reason that this stuff with Kendrick sticks more is because it rubs against that 10-year pattern of behavior. Like, so it's like, hey man, like, we just gotta roll with it, I feel like. And then, at this point, Drake is scrambling. Like, I'd imagine it's like he's throwing shit against the wall. Like, he's breaking shit. He's having temper tantrums. And then Drake puts out this.
He had like Trey and Boys in the Hood.
Yes, he's doing the Trey Boys in the Hood, swinging at the air, just pissed. And at this point, Kendrick's just like, all right, work's done here.
Yeah, job finished, job done.
And
like he has compromised Aubrey Graham to a permanent demise.
He's took this man down inside of a week. And like, fucking, I see people on Twitter start suggesting that, the Drake should drop the Heart Part 6 or whatever. And
my question is, I don't know what that even meant at the time.
So the Heart is is Kendrick Lamar's series that he has done throughout his career. Like, his parts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
This is Kendrick's version of the timestamp.
Yeah. Okay. So Drake drops the Heart Part 6 just as Twitter, and I see that. I'm like, all right, let's give him a chance. And then I hear this thing, and I'm like, oh, this is not like, this is. I was like, this is something. Was my first reaction, and then I heard the thing where it was like, he basically tries to flip like the sex abuse thing almost, and it was like, yeah, man, like have an issue with pedophilia because you were actually touched as a child. And this is a reaction. And then I was like, immediately, I was like, this ain't gonna go over well. This is gonna backfire. This is super ugly, but worse. And then what happened? Like,
Yeah.
like it was just, and Drake sounded very resigned to his fate, very defeated. As James mentioned earlier in the show, conceptually empty, repeating a lot of the same stuff, and he's rapping just this long ass verse on this dark, like dingy kind of beat or whatever. It's like the beat wasn't bad or anything, but it wasn't.
On the way out is like hitting on his or hit, more or less hitting on his wife.
Yeah, and it was just like, yeah, you're too famous to be a pedophile, and then there was another one like
made
it was
no
like,
damn sense.
And then it was like, if
mentioned Bobby Brown by name, even though Kendrick did not.
Yep. And then he also was like, if I would have done this, I would be arrested, which was another red flag for a lot of people. Like, oh, you don't understand the legal system, white man. Like, that's
right. Is like, he's clearly getting so much of this from, like, he's clearly scraping the plate by going on Twitter and reading like responses and stuff and trying to find inspiration for a comeback. Cause like he has to come back with something. So he comes back with this, and it's like, okay, your line is you're too famous to whatever. It's like, bro, we just saw like a month or so ago the motherfucker that performed the Super Bowl halftime show go to Bali to hang out with one of the most famous pedophiles in the world. What are you talking about?
And he also basically says,
also Diddy not in prison right now.
He put this information out to make Kendrick bite on this, right? And we have some questions about that. And it's like, was this like planned by Drake? Is this bullshit? Like, is it him trying to get in front of this?
Also said we gave you dummy information to get you to tell these fabrications and lies on your diss records, whatever else. It's like, okay, so on this diss record, while you're saying that like the things that are being hurled at you should not be believed because there is no proof for them, you want us to believe that you sent out anti-espionage to be picked up, and Kendrick fell for it without also providing the same level of proof, while also making these claims back on Friday that started is that Kendrick Lamar beats his wife with no information either.
It was like, you had cameras set
done
up
here. You have nothing. You're just. This is all just like what do you call it? This is all a coping mechanism. This is your way out. Because like you were basically like the person that you were basically like the boxer, or you're Mike Tyson. Like Holyfield has kicked your ass in fight 1. He's kicking your ass worse in fight 2, and now you're in a clinch and you're chomping down on his ear because you won out. But you don't want to go the rest of the distance to have to see that man have his arm raised by the public or whatever else. Like you are taking the easy way out. You were asking for a way out of here on your own accord because like you were so thoroughly outworked like a speed bag. You're whooped, and you can't take it on the chin like a man. Pause. So yeah, that's really shameful. Really shameful. Pat Bev behavior.
Yeah,
Pat Bev behavior.
Yeah, it was.
This is Pat Bev. Like Chris Paul walking by him after scoring 48 on him and then like shoved him in the back. This is Pat Bev getting bounced out of round 1 with an MVP candidate and a future Hall of Famer on his team. And he's throwing basketballs into the crowd at fans twice. That's what this is. This sucker move. It's awful.
Yeah, I heard this and I was like really kind of I was let down by Drake because I was like, there's no way. Like he's playing defense on this song really heavily. And one thing Kendrick did on Not Like Us was not play defense at all. Like he's like
he didn't. He obviously answered all the stuff from Friday, but he did not touch on anything involving. He didn't come out and be like, freaky ass nigga, 69 God. I did not beat my wife.
Yep.
He didn't do that. It didn't happen. Drake did 6 or 7 minutes on saying I am not touching kids.
Yeah, so
I gotta tell you,
it's like, how do we receive that verse? We'd be like, did that kill Kendrick? No. Like,
how do you receive anything, Rich? If someone pointed this out on Twitter, if I wear a shirt that says I do not have sex with underage kids, you can't be surprised people ask you about why would you even bring that up. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Kind of weird.
So like when I hear this, I'm just like, this guy's staggered. Like he's like Larry Holmes right now. Like he's like, it's not like either this is it. I feel like we're not
It's
gonna
over.
hear anything else. It feels over.
It's over.
Um,
Drake, and remember before it's so funny because like clearly for me, like you go back and through all this stuff and you hear, the way people add these things. I feel like these people are writing these things and then like they're leaving spaces to add in retorts to the previous disc as opposed to they're just writing this off the top of their head. They have stuff in place to format this stuff into making it compelling. And for me, that boy wanted to beat at the end of Family Matters.
that shit
That was
is
added
all
on.
time.
That was added on recently. That was not some. That was the first two beats. The drill beat and the take heat beat. That was what this was at the beginning. He had it at first, and then he added the take. He added the boy wanted to beat at the end, talking about the accusations of the wife beating thing because he needed to make this stronger to get him out of here, and he thought he got him out of there. And 30 minutes, and then 20 minutes later, like he finds out that like my best shot was returned down the opposite baseline like Prime Serena at the U.S. Open for advantage Kendrick. And he was all off kilter ever since. He was done.
That's really
So
where
this is way to get out.
That's kind of like really where the battle portion kind of stops. Like Drake, this song is terribly received.
Yep.
A lot of dislikes on this whole thing with Drake, and like a lot of people were just like, yeah, man, like good battle. Like people from TDE was like, yeah, that's it, kind of like, and this whole thing was like, just looking back on it, this was like a masterclass from Kendrick Lamar and even from Drake, like looking at it like what he did like lyrically and his ability to compete. This is an all-time, this is one of, if not the greatest rap battle of all time. Just
Yep.
guys, and I know people probably go like, hold on, what are Jay-Z and Nas? Like, I'm like, look, they were, I think these guys are even more seasoned than Jay-Z and Nas were at that point in their career.
The level of disrespect these two reached into starting on Friday is something that's beyond what they went into between even the super ugly stuff in Ether. This is so far beyond. It's more advanced, honestly. It's nastier.
It's more complex, like as far as like there are these like kind of sub records in between like the big ones, and it's like, okay, like and the short
Media Grams Ether is not nastier than, it's not a rougher listen to or more uncomfortable listen. Actually, it's not even necessarily uncomfortable. It's like, wow, he's calling him gay a lot. That's crazy. Like for a lot of people, Media Grams was uncomfortable. And hell, the Heart Part 6 was also uncomfortable for a lot of people too.
Yeah. And it was like this thing got dark. This thing got like, they were having, I think both guys really showed like what they were about. Like the things like people may thought that Kendrick Lamar didn't have, he did have them. And then stuff with Drake, it was like, will you really get in the ring with like someone like Kendrick Lamar? Because, there's never been like opponents, I think, that kind of lined up with Drake. He was always able to kind of say, oh, you're not, status wise, you're not ability wise near me. And then this is just a perfect Clash of Titans that I don't know if we'll ever see again. I don't know that we've necessarily like ever seen, like, maybe since like, and even Tupac and Biggie didn't really like do that. And then Jay-Z and Nas it's just different, I think, what this was, because this had like a decade leading into it. That had maybe about a half a decade leading into it, right? And they were ultimately clashing over the King of New York. It was like lower stakes.
They were clashing. Yeah. Jay-Z clearly separated himself as being like, I'm the number one guy or number two guy right now, depending on how you feel about Eminem. But either it's me or him. It is not like Nas can beat me and he's going to ascend to the main event, right? Like Nas is Nas. He's a multi-platinum rapper, but he is like, regardless of the, forget the skills, it's about just status in the game and the way people will look at this thing as star power. He's never going to be the star that Jay-Z had became. So
I think this battle also provides like great closure for the time where it's like, all right, these guys that are running these parallel races, it's like when they finally clash, like who got the better of who or whatever. And then I feel like we all can say Kendrick Lamar has gotten the better of Drake, and there's nothing to be ashamed of for Drake, like in that, like losing to Kendrick Lamar.
maybe until yesterday when he dropped that disc, because it was like that's a really low
Yeah,
way to go
yeah,
out.
yeah,
Like that's like he went out like a sucker.
yeah.
But people don't. A lot of people don't understand these rules, whatever else.
I
Like
think enough has
they'll.
happened to where, like, if you're a Drake supporter, you can talk yourself into thinking Drake won somehow, but like it's not. It's not flying. Like, the more you break this stuff down, and it was just like,
And the main thing about it, sorry, because the main thing about it is, one, it was super low, and two, it wasn't true, and he skimmed through or slash forgot what Kendrick said in Miss Morale.
yeah,
He didn't say he got molested. He said that like his mom wouldn't believe him because of what happened to his mom, who was molested. He completely missed the point. And that's the thing, is like Kendrick Lamar has, going back to the Crody thing of knowing what his fucking cat's name, or one of his cat's names is. Kendrick Lamar has meticulously been waiting for every
it's like Clubber
shred
Lang.
of detail to get to this man and finally put this out on display in an open space to say, like, look, I'm better than this man. I'm more dedicated to this man. I'm more calculating than this man. I'm I can go darker than he can. Like I'm a flat out hater of this dude or whatever else. And I stand on something that he doesn't stand for and he can never stand for. And I represent something he can never represent. And he fully put that on display. And Drake has a mirror shown up to him, and he doesn't like what he's looking at right now over this weekend. He just doesn't.
He can't be
And
proud
I
of
gotta say,
himself.
for him to have been over the last 15 years become the number one hit maker in the history of this genre, to see people dancing left and right around this fucking country to accusations that he is a pedophile, whether true or not, has to be fucking infuriating. Like we talked about back to back earlier, right? They are talking about Drake like he's Meek Mill out the back to back. Do you know how infuriating that's be if you're Drake and they're treating you like you're Meek Mill? That's why he went out this way. He's like, I gotta have some type of agency on how this story ends, how this chapter closes. And like, he chose that because like Kendrick Lamar over the weekend completely destroyed him at every narrative point, period. And this is only, and the only thing he can control, that Drake can control, was an exclamation point or question mark or a period on the end of this chapter of this book, because it's done. It's wrapped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if he comes back, it's like, what else is there really to say? Like, you clearly, like,
he left out of here with the cope saying, this was a good workout, and it's like, yeah, this is a good workout. This man knocked you down in the last two fucking rounds. He's talking about it's a good workout. Then he said,
I
know you are, after Taylor made, he said, be waiting on you. And now this man said, man, I know you got like 10 more songs. Go ahead and drop them shit. So I don't even care, bro. I'm out of here. Like, niggas sounded like he was moping like he finna cry on the way to getting in that car on the way out of here.
Yeah.
But he in the car, he's leaving. And look, at the end of as I mentioned, like, he went back into that booth for that Boy Wonder beat on Family Matters to add more to this, because like at the end of that drill beat, he said he was going on vacation. Kendrick Lamar said, all right, I got something for you, these two songs.
We will send you out there.
Postpone or take a part of his vacation to basically pull that sucker move to get out the fight. So, yeah.
Man. Let's get into some of these questions.